Let's go to Mike in SF. Hey, Mike, what are you doing?
I'm living the dream.
You damn right you are. You're on Willard and Dibs.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And I'm retired and I live in San Francisco. What else could be better?
Perfect.
So I wanted to talk about how the Giants have done this offseason and specifically the Chapman contract. Obviously, I think he's an upgrade and a good player, but it really wasn't a position of great need in my view. And what I'm concerned about is two things with the contract. One, if things go really well with him, which is what we all hope, he's likely to opt out after the first year.
Right.
And it does cost us a second-round pick and international signing money. I think I'd feel better if I knew he was going to be here for 2 or 3 years. The other thing is, if that prevents them from signing a pitcher, which is really the position of need a starting pitcher because of the luxury tax, that would be unfortunate. So again, I like the signing. I think it's an upgrade, but I hope it doesn't, a year from now we're saying, geez, we lost him already. And two, if it prevents them from signing someone like Snell or Montgomery, that would be a problem. So that's one thing. The other thing is, and I think, Mark, you may have touched on this, it sort of seems like everyone's assuming that Ray and Cobb are going to be back on time and come back just as starting pitchers. And I just think that might be a little optimistic that, one, there are not going to be any delays, and two, particularly with Ray, that he's going to be able to pitch 5 to 6 to 7 innings right away. I don't think either of those are realistic.
Well, yeah, Mike, Mike, thanks for the call. It's a good call with some good questions in there. The Ray one for me, like, he's already throwing the ball. There's plenty of background with this type of injury to suggest that like, Robbie's going to be fine. However, like, sure, anything could happen. Right. Cobb's supposedly ahead of schedule. And when you hear an exec, and Farhan did, say this out loud, then you know it's going really well because they hate to set expectations on injury. That's why Steve Kerr is always like, we'll reevaluate him in 10 days.
Right.
And then we'll use vague language again in 10 days. Like, they want to be very vague because they don't want to set expectations. But the Giants just set expectations with Alex Cobb that he's probably going to be back earlier than we thought. So that's all fine. But going back to the original point that Mike brought up, I will agree with him here. There's something about these contracts that are becoming real popular because they lessen the financial commitment that you need to make. And so, yay, financial flexibility. We know every team in sports loves it now. That's wonderful. But as a fan, the experience kind of stinks. And here's what happens. Either he plays really well and then he's gone, or he doesn't play really well and he stays. And so you only get to keep him if you don't really like him. It is exactly what happened with Michael Conforto this year.
Yeah.
Like, Conforto's a good ball player. Things didn't really go the way he would have loved for them to go last year. And so, yay, you get to keep him. What you really want is for these guys to pop off and have an amazing year. And if they do that, bye-bye.
They're gone, yeah, because they're going to opt out and get more money elsewhere.
So the fan experience of it, in terms of that relationship that we keep talking about between the fan and the player, is really challenged by this kind of a contract.
But it does give that financial flexibility. So for the team and really for the player too, it's risk reward, and you're risking nothing if you're the player, because you do know if you go out and you outperform your contract, there's going to be another suitor out there, and you can move on and get more money and do the same thing all over again. And if you're the team, you're kind of hamstrung because of exactly what you were laying out. If he does play well, now you're all but begging him to stay. And if he doesn't play well, then you're stuck. You're stuck with a player who's going to opt in, and you're going to end up having to pay him.
I mean, the ideal thing, I guess, because, again, he can opt out and re-sign here.
Right.
So, like, if he has a great year and the Giants have a ton of money coming off the books next year, like, maybe that's their thought process. If he does great, like, dude, you love Bob Melvin, you love the Bay Area, let's do this again. You know, let's do 2 or 3 more years. That would be the ideal situation, but you're right. You don't know where it goes. Now, here's the other thing, though, that Mike said. If the arrival of Chapman prevents the Giants from signing Snell because of the luxury tax, I'm going to stop you right there. You, the fans, we, the fans, don't let them have that answer. They don't get that answer. I don't want to hear we couldn't sign him because of the luxury tax, because a lot of you can't go to the game because of the price, but you do. And the San Francisco Giants, here is an omnipresent statement that I am going to make. This year, next year, and 10 years from now, the San Francisco Giants have the money. Period.
Yeah.
No other team that has so far been in on the Blake Snell conversation is any further down than where the Giants are right now in this tax situation. The Yankees are way over it. The Phillies.
And the Yankees have the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Phillies have the money, and they're willing to spend the money.
What we're talking about here, if the Giants were to shed some salary in the name of J.D. Davis or something like that and get Blake Snell and it sends them over the first luxury tax apron, do you want to know what that would cost them this year? Like $4 million.
Right, not much at all.
Like whatever. So I'm not giving the Giants that answer. If their answer is a different starter, open-minded, absolutely. But if in any way, shape, or form someone with the last name Johnson says anything over the next 4 weeks about we couldn't get another starter because we want to break even and luxury tax, man, rip away. That's a BS answer if anybody gives it.
He's already telegraphed it, though, telling you that they want to come close to breaking even. That's something that he said in the offseason was a priority to them. So it would be upsetting, but it wouldn't be shocking. And I don't think that they would put their name to that. It would come down to, well, we lost out again. You know, the price was too rich, more rich than what we wanted to spend.
I don't even think they'll say that. They'll say what he's already said. They'll say, no, we are very committed to this bevy of homegrown pitchers.
Right,
we
graduating
love.
our young pitchers.
We do not want to get in their way.
Right, yet they are still rumored to be in the mix. And
of course they are.
You know, and I saw a quote from Boris today on a story on ESPN talking about how there's a pitching crisis out there because so many teams are in need of pitching, and so he's trying to still drive up the price for his guys as we get into early March.
Well, he also said, and you could set your watch to this. Let me see if I can find the story. Where is it? Scott Boras. Scott Boras basically says that since spring training started and Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery are still on the market, a number of new teams have called to express interest. Here's my read on the situation. There's really only one team right now that's been bouncing back and forth in the Boris Derby. The Cubs got in on Cody Bellinger, but that was rumored to be the deal the entire time. There have been a number of teams that have openly stated, we could add, but not before subtracting, like we are up against it, we are done here. Maybe they're lying too, but their verbiage is much firmer than what the Giants are doing. The Giants were like, yeah, I don't see any more big additions. Well, except for when we had Matt Chapman.
Yep.
And now the offseason is over. But boy, we wouldn't rule anything out. And sure, there could be another move because we have a surplus. So Scott Boras is over here going, you don't want to make any more big additions? Well, wow, we've got a bunch of other teams here.
4 new teams, Mark.
They are very, very interested. I don't think it's as simple as Boras, Giants, that's it, but they're all negotiating with each other in the public. The Giants are saying, we're fine, we love our young pitchers. Scott Boras is saying, we're fine, I got 4 other teams that just called, but I still remain. I don't know that he's going to end up with the Giants, but it's the team that can afford him the most. It absolutely is. I don't know exactly what his relationship is with Bob Melvin. You sort of assume it was good. They were together last year and he won the Cy Young. So it still checks a lot of boxes and it makes a lot of sense. And it looks like both sides are just trying to play the price game as we get down the stretch.
And Boras is quoted saying 4 new teams have inquired. There's a pitching panic going on in baseball, said Scott Boras, the man who is holding the keys to 2 of the biggest pitchers who are still out there. We got so many starting pitchers that are now compromised, maybe short term, some long term, and the calls for elite starters are starting to increase. My guys are getting called. Phone's ringing off the hook, Giants.
Oh, my gosh.
You better gin up the price a little bit there, Farhan.
It hasn't led to a contract yet, but boy,
No.
we are beating off these teams with a stick.